Hi everyone, it's Tracey here from Artfiberstitch. I'm just continuing with this project. We were working on water last time, and this time I'm wanting to add a little bit more. So I hope you've enjoyed following along, and we'll try a little bit more experimentation and see where we end up in this one. So let's hop into a little bit of fabric artistry. So at first we started with some linen and we painted it or dyed it and decided we saw a sky and a river and some hills. Then I poked some holes in the linen, spread the fibres apart a bit, and then added a real bright colour underneath so that bits of it showed through. After that we started stitching down some yarn to make water. Well, this is where we left it, and I'm thinking let's use some of these spots here and pop in a few rocks. I had this material which has got me loads of different colours of browny black, so I just picked out a corner of that and started looking, and I poked a bit, as we still haven't done that, under there. So then when I pick this apart a bit, this top layer, I've got rocks underneath, and that made me think, well, where else would I like some rocks? Lots of places really. I've just made a bit of a hole there because that was a spare spot. If I just poke that under like that, sort of like that, so I can do that. I can put layers underneath and have suggestions of rocks. I can also put some on top. Do you remember those old old covered buttons that you could cover, and you always started with a little piece of round material? This isn't round, but it'll do the same sort of thing. And I'm just going to do a little stitch in and out, a little running stitch in and out, all the way around that. I'm going to round that corner off. Because when I do, I'm going to pull it a little bit. When I pull it, it's going to tuck those edges under. So then it really would look like the edge of a rock jutting up. So that's the plan, some under and some over, and we'll see what we can come up with. I'm hoping we'll manage to do some water going around our rocks. Well, where were we? Here. So just a running stitch that you're not off when you start, and then you don't knot off the other end. You just pull it till you've got what you want, and maybe even poke a bit of padding in there if I would like it to be standing up a bit, like three-dimensional. So if I wanted something inside, I would get some sort of fluffy stuff, but I'm just going to look and see what's handy. There's a bit of this wall that's left over here. Let's shove that in. Pull that a bit tighter, and when I sew it, I'll pop these edges under. I'm just going to tack it in place whilst I've got it there. See, with my needle, not the right colour, but I'm going to try to not have it show by just stitching underneath it. And that's a pretty good rock. I'm just tacking it there, that same thread. I mean, normally I wouldn't use that creamy colour thread, but it is what I had. See, that edge will go under like that as well.
So we've started, we've got something there. We can play with the shape of it later, and I'm just going to use this thread here to tack it, pull it up and then tack it in place where I want, and that'll help me envisage how I can do some more, I hope. So there's one, and we have some underneath, another one over here. I might make another larger one, but I think I won't fuss around with a small piece like that. I'll get something bigger. Something bigger. Way too big, you're thinking, but by the time it gets pulled under, maybe not. And maybe when it gets gathered up and pulled under, some of that can add as padding as well. So I'll do the same thing, and I'll do a little running stitch just in from the edge there, see? I'm going to leave that other edge. I haven't decided what to do with that. And I'm just going to round this edge off a little bit here and go down to this point. And then I'm going to pull. And I want those edges to go in. Work that gathering around. A running stitch is also a gather stitch. You might have done it if you've ever done dressmaking. So we're just looking at what we can achieve. I can pull that out a bit and have it longer. I could, well, I like the creases and everything in it. As long as those edges are under, I'm happy. So we can do something like that, a rock in there. Oh, I don't want to go berserk, but I'll probably put a little bit under there. Maybe have a little tiny one in the coming out into our stream. And then I'll try and make the water flow around it. Now, one thing I wanted to show you was, if you don't like the shape of that rock, see how that bit's all pulled in? I can pull the gathers to some other part and, you know, do what I want. That's two rocks on top of each other. So I will be playing with rocks, but also I was looking at, as I say, I want the water to look more like it's flowing around those rocks. So I just grabbed a whole bunch of knotted stuff, and I thought maybe something like that, because even if threads become knotted and things, I quite like it. So I keep things like that. Well, I'm just too lazy, I suppose, but they always come in handy. Can you see what I mean? That we could use something like that to go around, or you know, it looks like that's going through and squeezing the water between rocks, and there it comes out the side. Oh, well, that takes a bit of artistic license, I suppose, but that kind of thing, we get that movement. But it wouldn't want to all be, I don't want to put too much white in it. These things, you know, that's just threads that have gotten knotted, but I could use something like that. Look at that. Maybe it's going around that rock. So that's what I'm aiming at. There's all kinds of things in that I could use. But also, remember I was showing you this ribbon and how much I liked it? Well, I've got a creamy one as well, and I've used this in quite a few things because I love this. It's woven, you see, and I love when you pull it apart, you get such lacy, lovely stuff happening. Alright, so I think that's what we'll do today. We're just going to play with those rocks and see if we can get that. I also think this is too yellowy. We need to obscure that a wee bit, but we're getting there.
Just follow along here as we have a look, a little closer look. I think we've got a really good start.
Just going to use a bit of brownie cotton so it doesn't show up as much. I'm just going to go across like this on the edge because it's going to be under a frame perhaps after. Really, we're just experimenting with what we can do. We're not going to get too wound up about it. In fact, even that bit that's there, I might leave it. And then I can sort of shape my rock how I would like it to be. Now, if I didn't want my stitches to show, like here, it's not going to matter, then I would stitch it underneath. Just get a little bit of it there and underneath where no one can see. And that's what I mean about not getting terribly wound up about it. I can change it. And it's, if you're not painting, you see, you can take your time and you can have a look and see what it was that you might like. See, you're not seeing that stitching because I'm only catching underneath there. You can see here my rock, and now I'm trying to get this water to flow around it. So whilst I'm sewing it down, and I'm only just tacking, remember, I grabbed some of my bits of thread here, get it, and I just twist it like if I'm making a yarn. See what I mean? And I'm putting this in, and it's going to blend this yellow colour. It's going to take it out. This is what's absorbing, is doing something like this, because you don't know where you're going. You're just trying to get it to be a pleasing picture for you. So what are we doing? We're sculpting a landscape, I suppose, with fibre and thread. Right, so I'm going to finish off this cotton. I'll do the same, like here. Yeah, I want those rocks showing underneath, but I also, this is going to be something different. This is a bank. So maybe one on top would be better too. Just using a bit of seed stitch to hold it down this time. Now I do have this already poked under. Don't think I want quite so much of this in there. I'm just going to take a bit out. See what we can make it into. I can tuck those edges under completely if I want, or I can make them into grasses. The main thing is I want to be able to see my rock there. These bits here, they could be the splash. I should get some more bits and bobs of this. I like that. Time soon to see what else I've got, but I do like the idea. And that's what happens, you get ideas as you go because it's making itself, and all of these things are your interpretation, so it doesn't really matter. So sometimes it's under, Sometimes it's over. Let's not forget our lovely little seed stitch, which doesn't all need to be the one stitch. Seed stitch is just little bits and little tiny stitches here and there in different directions. It sort of adds, it blends, it holds down. It's a fabulous little stitch.
Let's just have a closer look for a little while.
So adding in a little bit of this and that of your scraps, and it can really make a difference. But it's where you choose, and if you don't like a certain colour, you can put something on to blend it in, or like here where we've used those bits of thread to look like water going over the top, or here that's that lovely ribbon that you can twist. A little bit of white as it goes through the rocks would be nice.
Like this. So I hope you've enjoyed this. We're having a look at some close-up photos so you can get a better idea of how it came together and how it works quite well. I think I'll stop here, and I thank you for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, you can do that. Like if you like, and you can even donate should you wish to. And we'll be probably continuing this because I'm having so much fun with it next time. Thanks again.